I hope that what you've seen on this channel so far hasn't given you the impression that my life has been entirely wonderful thus far. Rather, I'd say that my story has been largely one of survival. Survival in the modern sense, characterized predominantly by mental and emotional well-being and survival. Perhaps you can relate. But I realize I haven't shared very much about my story with you yet, the one about me, the individual. I know it may be hard to tell, being that I have a YouTube channel on which I show my face, but I'm actually much more comfortable being behind the camera. That's usually the case for those of us that are photographers. True also of us journalists, which was my field of study. But a relationship requires both give and take. So let me start by offering you an extremely condensed version of my life to this point, just so you know a little bit more about who I am and where I've been. I was born in the state of Ohio in 1966 to a mother from the Netherlands and a dad from Japan. I am grateful to have the parentage that I have. It has come with plenty of challenges, but it has also brought a cultural richness and depth, and has definitely shaped who I am and my perspective on very possibly everything. Despite the challenges that it has presented, I would not change it for anything. It has been a significant factor in who I am. My only sibling, a younger brother, was born a couple of years after I was. I think this makes us pioneer hafus. I'm astounded by the number of hafus there are now, most still very young. But when my brother and I were growing up, there really weren't any, or at least extremely few. We didn't know of or ever see any others. My family moved to Japan for a job offer that my dad had accepted soon after my brother was born. We first moved to Kamikitazawa, outside of Tokyo, then later to Fuchu, where I would begin my education on the U.S. military base that was there at the time. A year and a half into my education there, my dad accepted a job back in the United States near Los Angeles, where the remainder of my childhood, my adolescent years, and my first year and a half of college took place. I then transferred to Brigham Young University, Idaho, where I continued to pursue my major in journalism. Upon my return to Los Angeles, I secured my first job at one of the major Japanese airlines, which I stayed at until the Northridge earthquake struck in January of 1994, which caused such damage to the building in which we worked that the corporation decided to move operations near to Los Angeles International Airport, which would equate to an additional 30 to 45-minute drive each way to and from work for me. Soon thereafter, I was offered a job in a public relations department, just 15 minutes away from home, which I gladly accepted. That proved to be the beginnings of quite a series and a wide variety of jobs that I held through the years until COVID struck. I worked in event production, then as an assistant to a professional photographer who shot Hollywood film posters and the annual Harley-Davidson calendar. I shot for one of the biggest celebrity photo agencies, then started my own. I was an intake coordinator for clients at AIDS Project Los Angeles, which was the second largest AIDS organization in the country through the height of the AIDS epidemic. I then moved to Tennessee for a couple of years, where I kept in my tradition of securing employment in a variety of fields, first as a legal secretary in a law firm, later at an investment firm, then eventually accepted an opportunity to be the stills photographer on an independent film that a friend of mine was working on in New Orleans, which led to my return to Los Angeles to accept another stills photographer position on a second film. Once production on that film was completed, I was offered work as a case manager at an NPO for the homeless. After that, I began a 5-year-long selling stint on eBay while eBay was in its prime. I then took a job offer as an editor of a Japanese magazine that was being published in English, finally leaving that position to work for the world's largest coffee chain, strictly for the healthcare insurance benefits that it offered, which the Japanese publisher didn't provide, and remained there for far too many years, strictly for the healthcare insurance benefits, which, coincidentally, I never had the need to use while I was there. Then COVID struck. Unwilling to risk the exposure that I would be subjected to by continuing to work there during the beginning of the pandemic, out of concern for my most susceptible family members, I ended my employment there. Which pretty much brings us up to date. Since then, I've been invested in a variety of projects, this channel being one of them. That's it? Kind of. It's alarming to me to think that our lives are so often filled with the jobs that we have simply to get by. But having a job drains you, the best of your time and your energy, not that we have much choice in the matter. I don't know about you, but I want more than that. Something that actually matters. I've always wanted that, because life is short. There have been some relationships along the way, but no marriage, no children. In hindsight, I'm not 100% sure that that was a good idea. But as we say here in America, it is what it is. There have been a few trips throughout the years, several crises to overcome, and time with friends, family, and relatives sprinkled in heavily. I'm still trying to figure life out. Who isn't? Actually, I find that there are plenty of people that don't seem to care at all about that. Maybe caring about the meaning of life comes with age and experience. Or maybe not. I'm a pretty big dreamer, maybe even grandiose. I always have been, so life thus far has been disappointing in many, many ways. But I'm not done yet. And that is why I'm here, why you're watching this right now. Despite everything, I still believe that happiness is possible. Through it all, I've come to recognize that I'm a student of happiness, and that I've been one all of my life. And this channel will reflect that. I've learned a lot along the way, and I expect that you have too. And I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for your interest in me and my story. I invite you to join me. I hope that my quest to this end inspires you to do so too.